22 years. Yeah, 22 long years. For Arsenal fans, that was not just a football drought. Nah, it was pain. It was jokes from rival fans. It was trust the process becoming almost a meme. And then, finally, it happened. Arsenal are Premier League champions again. First time since 2004. First time since the Invincibles. First time in the Emirates era. But here is the part nobody should ignore. This title was not built in one summer. It was not won by one transfer window. It was not just Mikel Arteta waving a magic wand and suddenly turning Arsenal into monsters. No. This was a long, expensive, painful rebuild. A football project that, by our editorial estimate, sits around $3.1 billion. Yeah, $3.1 billion. So the real question is not just, how did Arsenal win the Premier League? The real question is, how much did it actually cost to bring Arsenal back 6? Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Football Xtra Live. And look, today we are not doing basic football talk. We are not just counting goals, assists, clean sheets, and celebrations. That is the surface story. Today, we are going deeper. We are looking at the money, the stadium sacrifice, the transfer strategy, the commercial machine, and the tactical rebuild that finally delivered Arsenal's first Premier League title in 22 years. And before we continue, let me be clear. That $3.1 billion figure is not an audited accounting number. It is an editorial football business estimate based mainly on Arsenal's modern transfer spending and the Emirates Stadium project. It does not include everything, not wages, not agent fees. So honestly, the real economic cost of Arsenal's journey back to the top could be even higher. If you enjoy deep football stories like this, not just the noisy headlines, hit the subscribe button and join the Football Xtra Live family. Now, to understand the glory of 2026, we have to go back to the pain of 2004. In 2004, Arsenal were untouchable. Had just gone through an entire Premier League season without losing a single match. Think about that for a second. A full league season, no defeat. That team became more than a football team, but then came the big decision. Arsenal had to leave Highbury and move into a modern stadium. The Emirates Stadium cost around £390 million to build. And on paper, it made sense. Bigger stadium, more matchday revenue, better commercial power, a platform to compete with the elite. But football does not always move according to perfect business plans. Because, in the short term, that stadium became both a blessing and a burden. Arsenal had to compete while operating carefully, while Chelsea were spending big, while Manchester City were rising, while Manchester United were still operating like a giant. Arsène Wenger had to keep Arsenal in the Champions League, develop young players, sell stars at painful moments, and still somehow make the team look competitive. And honestly, that was not easy. Cesc Fabregas left, Robin van Persie left, Samir Nasri left. Big players came and went, and every summer felt like Arsenal were trying to balance ambition with financial discipline. So yes, Arsenal were still a big club. They still played beautiful football. They still had moments. But the killer instinct, the financial aggression, the ability to go and buy the final piece, for years, it was missing. And that is why the question became bigger and bigger. Could Arsenal ever become champions again after leaving Highbury? Could the Emirates era ever produce a Premier League title? For 22 years, the answer was no. Until now. So where does the $3.1 billion estimate come from? Let's break it down simply. First, Arsenal's gross transfer expenditure across the modern post-Invincibles era is estimated around $2.55 to $2.65 billion. Then you add the Emirates Stadium project, around £390 million, which converts to roughly $520 million. Put those together, and you arrive at a football investment base of around $3.1 billion. Again, not exact accounting. It tells the story. At first, the club was cautious. Then came selective spending. Then came the late Wenger and Unai Emery. Everything changed. Mikel Arteta arrived in December 2019, and from that point, Arsenal stopped behaving like a club simply trying to survive the top four race. They started behaving like a club building a title machine. When Arteta walked through the door, let's be honest, the squad was unbalanced. The dressing room needed a reset. The mentality was fragile. And the club was still carrying the emotional weight of the late Wenger years and the Emery transition. So Arteta's job was not just tactical, it was cultural. He had to change the age profile. He had to change the standards, built attacks, recruited players, and even believed in themselves. And that is why this project became expensive. Because culture sounds romantic, but in modern football, culture also costs money. You need the right goalkeeper, the right center backs, the right fullbacks, the right midfield engine, the right striker, and maybe most importantly, the right players who can survive pressure. That is where Arsenal began to separate themselves from the old version of Arsenal. Because this was no longer about buying big names for excitement. This was about buying pieces for a system. William Saliba gave them calm and defensive authority. Gabriel gave them aggression. Martin Odegaard gave them rhythm and leadership. Declan Rice gave them power. Bukayo Saka gave them identity. And Arteta gave them structure. But structure decides whether those players become a team. And then came the signing that changed the mood completely. Declan Rice, £105 million, a club record deal. At the time, many people asked the same question. Was it too much? Was Arsenal overpaying? Was Rice really worth that kind of money? But now, looking back, it feels different, doesn't it? Because Rice was not just a midfielder. He was a statement. He told the league that Arsenal were no longer shopping like a club hoping to compete. They were shopping like a club that expected to win. Arsenal had technical midfielders before, brilliant ones. But Rice gave them something else, control with muscle. And in a title race, there are days when you need to suffer, protect a lead, and walk out with a 1-0 victory. That is title football. Not always pretty, but necessary. Arsenal were no longer building the foundation. So the club moved into what we can call completion spending. And that is a very different thing, but needs the final details. Not panic buys, not random names. Final pieces, depth, control, rotation, goals, tactical flexibility. In the 2025/26 window, Arsenal's arrivals included major names like Martin Zubimendi, Eberechi Eze, Victor Gyökeres, Noni Madueke, Christian Mosquera, Christian Norgard, and Kepa Arrizabalaga. Public transfer market figures placed Arsenal's total arrivals that season at close to €295 million. That is a huge number. But again, the key point is this. It was not random spending. Zubimendi helped with control. Eze added creativity and unpredictability. Gyökeres brought goal threat and physical presence. The wider group gave Arsenal depth for a long season. And in modern football, depth is not luxury. Because if you want to win the Premier League, survive injuries, and still perform every 3 days, your bench has to look like another starting 11. That is what separates a good project from a title project. But here is where we have to be fair. Money alone did not win Arsenal the Premier League. If money alone guaranteed success, football would be very simple. Chelsea have spent big. Manchester United have spent big. And still ended up with confusion, pressure, and chaos. So Arsenal's story is not just, they spent billions and won. No, the real story is this. They finally spent with purpose. Better recruitment, clearer coaching, stronger defensive structure, a younger squad, a captain who understood the system, an academy star who carried the emotional identity of the club, structure, patience from ownership, belief from supporters. That is the mix. Because money gave Arsenal the tools, but Arteta gave the tools a shape, and the players gave that shape life. It is not just a trophy. It is the final answer to a question Arsenal fans have lived with since leaving Highbury. Was all that pain worth it? In 2026, the answer is finally yes. There is also another side of this story, the commercial machine. Now, we have to be careful here. Sponsorship money is not a cost. It is revenue, but it helped create the financial environment that allowed Arsenal to return to the top. The Emirates partnership, stadium naming rights, shirt sponsorship, the Adidas kit deal, global revenue growth, matchday income. All of these helped Arsenal become stronger off the pitch. And in modern football, off-pitch strength matters. Because the richest clubs are not just football teams. They sell shirts, content, matchday experiences, sponsorship packages, and Arsenal's title project was powered by that evolution. The Emirates gave them the platform. Commercial growth gave them muscle. Transfers gave them the squad. Arteta gave them the structure. And the players delivered the crown. That is why the wider football and commercial ecosystem around this journey can be seen as even bigger than $3.1 billion. But for the clean football investment estimate, $3.1 billion is the headline number. So after 22 years, Arsenal are champions again. From Highbury to the Emirates, from the Invincibles to the banter years, from financial restriction to billion-dollar squad building, from Wenger's survival era to Emery's transition, to Arteta's title machine. This was not an overnight miracle. It was a long, painful, expensive correction. And maybe that is why it feels so powerful. Because Arsenal did not just buy a trophy, they bought time. They bought infrastructure. They bought squad depth. They bought the right to compete again. But they still had to earn the final step on the pitch. And that is what makes this title special. So now the question becomes, is this the beginning of an Arsenal era? Or is it just one beautiful peak before Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, or even Real Madrid pull the game in another direction? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep football stories, not just headlines, but the business, tactics, and power behind the game, subscribe to the Football Xtra Live.